Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, he's got a really optimistic view on what qualifies as a good day or a great day. Here was the Dolphins head coach yesterday.
You should stand corrected. Good morning. False. Great morning. Let's go.
Why great? What makes this one great?
Because we're another day closer to death.
What?
That's it's a dork sense of humor right there.
What? Okay, I mean, what y'all? Go ahead, Q.
I don't have much more than that.
Okay, yeah,
That is not a inspiring message that you'd like to hear from your head coach. I pray to God he didn't say that at the team meeting. So.
Oh, my God.
All right, boys, we're in training camp, well into it, getting ready for preseason, and we also feel like it's a great morning because we're one day closer to death.
Oh,
what?
So there was also some interesting back and forth that took place over the past couple of days between Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill was critical of the short yardage package that the Dolphins have and were working on in training camp, and decided to speak out on it, not realizing that it had already been worked on and it was actually currently taking place. So let's first listen to the critique from Tyreek Hill. This was over the weekend.
Take Devon out on third down. What? You want him? That's my honest opinion. If it's third and short, he's not a power back. I be telling him that in the locker room, but he a power back. I love Devon though, but if I'm being honest, like that's why you got Jalen Wright. That's why you got Ollie Gordon for those kind of situations.
So Mike McDaniel heard that and followed up with this.
I thought it was genius reporting by Tyreek, seeing how we had a short yardage period that very day that you guys were in attendance for, and his suggestion was, I guess, congruent with Coach Stutesville. That's exactly how we repped the backs in that short yardage period that very day. But we thought it was funny that he reported the news that wasn't news on that practice day in that short yardage period that you guys were all there too for.
So he sounded like the old Mike McDaniel right there.
He's returning.
What'd that sound like?
Like somebody sitting on his chest. I was just really excited about the fact
he's back.
That he had something to say about it and the way that he did. Yeah, it's like if somebody's back. Like got their foot on his chest. Yeah. All right.
It just feels really awkward there. Like it just feels the Tyreek Hill, the Tua's critique of him. Mike McDaniel feels like he's just about fed up with it, and Mike McDaniel sounds like, you know what? Probably not going to be here much longer if things don't work out well this year. So may as well go out on my terms. And he's going out. He's going out with that pothead tone that he brought with him when he first got there in Miami that LaVar was such a big fan of.
Oh, wow.
Which is good news.
Okay.
It's good news. The tone is back. He'd changed. He'd gotten too cool for school for a while. And now he's back talking about death, being a smartass, dismissing Tyreek Hill's critiques of the short yardage package that was already changed and installed. Good for them.
I mean, what do you guys
feel like this is...
I'm about to say, what do we expect from this team?
Well, no, I was going to ask you, is it a make-or-break year?
Yes.
Is this a make-or-break year for Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins? I mean, I feel like they're in a spot that's kind of difficult. I mean, he's got a winning record as a head coach. Although after the first two seasons, they make the playoffs, it feels like last year was a regression, but you also were playing, without Tua. So...
I think it's a make-or-break year for Tua. But I'm not necessarily sure it's a make-or-break for McDaniel.
I think it is. And
it's very possible. I'm with you, but I'm not sure.
And I'll tell you this right now. I'll call my shot.
Uh-oh.
Next year, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins is either going to be Bill Belichick or Nick Saban.
Knox Locks.
Dang.
Nick Saban's going to go back to... Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Here's why it's not a make-or-break year for Tua. they can't move on from him until 2027. I mean, next year, even if they wanted to cut him next year, it'd be almost $100 million dead cap hit. You can't do that.
I think
you'd be literally sacrificing your entire team if that was the case.
I think the problem
for a guy who's not on your roster anymore.
The problem you run into with that is this would be the third coach that you brought in to basically try to make it work with Tua. And I don't think Tua is good enough where we would say, okay, we're going to move on to our third coach while having Tua.
Damn.
No, he's been good at times, but not next level. Yeah, go ahead.
See, I think he's actually been really good with Mike McDaniel. I think what we're failing to realize is when he's not the starter, it's a different team. It's a different offense. When he's in there, he's played well. But the injuries have been an issue. And you can't say it's the third coach because, he was there with Greer and Brian Flores, and it wasn't like they brought Flo in for Tua. They drafted him. Flores obviously didn't want him, and that ended up being the end of Flores as a head coach. And, Greer kind of won that battle, and they move on to Mike McDaniel. So I would say it'd be more accurate to say it's the second coach they brought in to help make him the guy. But
it would
I
be
think
the third
there's
if
a greater
they brought
chance.
in a new coach. It would be the third.
What?
It would be the third coach coaching Tua.
They didn't bring in Brian Flores for Tua, though, is what I'm saying.
But it would still be the third coach. I didn't say they brought him in. You said they brought him in. I said it would be the third coach.
Well, that's what you said.
It would be
the coach they bring in.
Well, they would be bringing in a third coach, and that coach would be coaching Tua, which would be three coaches that had coached Tua in Miami. Right?
Right. But I think there was other reasons surrounding why Flores was, let go and how that all didn't work out.
I think I think we would all agree that, at least for me, the biggest reason why Mike McDaniels gets brought in is to try to salvage Tua. So
again, but it's not. So here's the difference. It's not salvaging Tua because Chris Greer, the GM, makes the pick. And Flores, I feel like he didn't want him based on how things worked out. Remember, they're jockeying between him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yep. And then Mike McDaniel gets there, and Tua plays great. Tua plays the way he's capable of playing. Now, granted, Tyreek Hill gets there, some other pieces too. But still, now you see what he's capable of. This isn't, to me, like
he wasn't heading on that trajectory with the prior coach.
Yeah, Brian Flores.
So my idea of it is that you can ruin a guy if they stay. Had Flores stayed, had all things played out, all things given, Tua doesn't. I don't think Tua recovers playing under Flores. So he
probably wouldn't have played at all.
So that's where my thought process of bringing him in to salvage the situation. That's where, to me, the reasoning of it comes into play. From that perspective. And for what it's worth, like you said, it did work. They did have success. I don't think, contractually speaking, I don't know I don't know Tua's contract. So if you're saying
that's what
he's
I'm saying,
making enough money, that's fine to me.
Think about it. Your salary cap is like $230 million. You'd be having $100 million of that. Even if it goes up.
I would still
that would be invested in a player who's not on your roster if you cut him.
I'd still
try to trade him, I guess, but
I would still say there's even with Deshaun Watson, right? You can't get rid of him, but he had a make or break year maybe a year or so ago, right? But he's still on the roster because his price tag's too high. So to me, I still think it's a make or break year for both of them, for both the coach and for the quarterback in Tua, even if they can't move on from him. That's why
he's still on the roster because there's guarantees involved. Even if they got rid of him, and I have to look at the contract. There might be offsets where the Browns would still owe money at that point. But there's no point of getting rid of Watson now. One, he's injured, so it's not like that's even an issue. But again, his dead cap hit, if they got rid of him this year, is $167 million.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. At this point, they will never, they won't even come close to regaining some way, somehow, the value of what they did in that contract.
No, that's right. They're not. But there's also, you have to understand how the implications to the cap in the future. Now that with Watson because, again, it hasn't worked out. He hasn't played well. He's been injured. They're kind of, you could tell they're moving on. But again, the problem is they're going to have to eat that. So when you look at what really Andrew Berry has done, if you're looking at this situation, I mean, Jonas just mentioned it. They have 2 first-round picks next year. Mm-hmm. Like, think about a team that was able to offer that contract, sign a player to that contract. And yes, obviously it's hurt, but there's been instances where Kevin Stefanski and Joe Flacco at the end of the season go on a run, and they're able to win games down the stretch to still make it. Like, it's pretty remarkable if you think about it. Like, it's almost like the Shanahan, John Lynch drafting Trey Lance, and that never really biting them. Like, it's very similar in that sense.
Yeah, they survived in spite of the Watson move. Survived in spite.
I wouldn't say they. Yeah, I mean they survived is a good way of putting it. But anyway, they've positioned themselves well to at least build back through the draft, which they've done a good job of. If you look at some of the players they've drafted and re-signed, obviously Myles Garrett in particular, but that's going to be the hard part. Like, getting back to Miami is I don't see it as like a make or break year for Tua. I think it might be more make or break year for Chris Grier and what happens with him based on the roster and some of the decisions they made. Because don't forget too, if you're Stephen Ross, you're the owner. The guy who's ultimately in charge of making these decisions on some of these contracts. So even if you are frustrated with, hey, it's a make or break year for Tua and he hasn't played well, you might be stuck in a situation where you just say, all right, we're gonna stick with this, for at least another year until we get to a point where it's more manageable or it's not as punitive, having to release him and eating up that dead cap. But if you look at some of the other roster decisions, they've paid a number of players, and you can make the case it has or hasn't worked out. But that's not always on Mike McDaniel. Like, I think when Tua's in there, and you can look up his win-loss record as a starter, he's been successful. They've been able to actually operate the offense, and then they've been able to kind of spit the ball around. It's been an entirely different feel, I feel like, when he's out there.
I love Tua. I like Mike McDaniel. The combination has worked. To your point, the splits on when he's in the lineup and not in the lineup, they're a completely different team, much better team, and the numbers would prove that. I just look at Tua, and it's such a precarious spot to be in because – and I know that everybody's like this in the NFL. You're one play away from it all changing and the course of history changing forever. Man, like, he's one concussion away from that's that. And I don't know. I just can't rally around or get behind. And that's why I don't think anybody would trade for him, knowing that, man, he's one hit away based on what we've seen from him when it comes to the concussions that he suffered every single year of his NFL career, it seems like. It just feels like you're on the cusp of, here we go again, and he's going to slide, or because that's just the way that he plays. That's my hesitation with Tua. Like, I like Tua when he's playing, and you're not having to worry about that stuff. Like, he's been great, and it's worked. And Tyreek Hill's had better numbers with Tua than Patrick Mahomes, which is crazy to say, but it's the truth. He's just one play away from. Next thing you know, we're back to them not having him on the field again.
2 years ago, he led the league in passing yards.
Yeah.
Last year he led the league in completion percentage. It's just, he only started 11 games.
He's cooked.
Damn.
I feel like, again, if anything, and this is what a lot of people on the outside who play defense don't do, is they don't look at the defense and they don't look at some of the struggles that defensively they've had, in particular in Miami. They just look at the quarterback, and they don't look at the fact that they've struggled at times. I mean, last year was a step in the right direction, but it feels like when the offense has been really good, like 2 years ago when he was healthy, he was in there, then the defense takes a step back. It's weird how they just haven't been able to play that complete team football. And I mean, look, maybe that is on Mike McDaniel. Maybe that's on him. But I look at it and just say, I don't know. I think the Tua-Mike McDaniel combination has worked. As far as this offseason goes with Tyreek and everything, I don't know what you make of that. I mean, it's been entertaining. I know that much.